Andy, you've talked about the incredible opportunities for ministry when the real shatters the hyperreal, when the event occurs, that kind of reality just descends and everybody knows it, whether they think of it as interhuman reaction or in some instances spiritual reality. But whether it's facilitated, whether it's listening well and responding to a moment, I think every youth minister knows that a predicate for that is relationship that has to have been developed. Mm-hmm. And I know you've given a lot of thought to the kind of relationships we want to develop and the kind of relationships we don't want to develop, or the means and the ends of relationships. Can you talk to us a little bit about that in the context of this question?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think maybe the red thread that's run through all of my work has been to try to explore relationship. And I actually, people who know me will know this, I tend to be a fairly severe introvert, so it's very odd for a severe introvert to talk about relationship, but I think that is appropriate because I've had to do a lot of thinking about, well, what is a relationship? Because being an introvert, I have to, what's going on here? So I've done a lot of thinking about it, and in my own ministry as well. I mean, a relationship has been the central piece. Like, we have to have a relationship with young people. Young people need a relationship. But maybe it's because of my introvertedness, I had to ask the question pretty quickly on, well, what do we mean a relationship? What is it, and what is the relationship really for? And I think it's pretty common that within the youth ministry world, and I don't think it's just youth ministry, I think it's within all broadly within ministry, that we've tended to see the relationship as a tool, as for something. As for winning the leverage to get young people somewhere. It's an instrument. So, and I think we kind of agree that it's the best instrument for ministry now, especially in a postmodern or late modern world, secularized world, that you need the relationship as the instrument to win religious affiliation, to win membership, whatever that might be. And I've wanted to be critical of that and actually make the argument that it's not about, the relationship shouldn't be an instrument, but it should be the place of the event itself. That the relationship, and I think this is a much richer biblical theological perspective, that the relationship itself is where God shows up. That the relationship itself becomes the significant place where God moves. But it means we have to transition away from something. And I think often we've been kind of co-opted into certain American culture where we see people, and we see particularly young people, as their interests, that they are what they're interested in. And after all, young people are interested in so many things. I mean, they're interested in football, they're interested in dating, they're interested in watching TV, they're interested in all these things. And your job as a youth worker is to convert their interests, that at least close to the top of the list, they put church. And that puts an incredible amount of pressure on you. And you use your relationship as the tool to convert their interests. And I think what we haven't quite recognized, maybe as explicitly enough as we should, is that understanding of the young person or the person as their interest is actually not very biblical and not very theological. And I'm trying to push back something that I think is central to ancient Christianity, that people are not their interests, but they're persons. And persons are their relationships. That we are fundamentally bound to each other in and through relationships. At the core of who we are, and we are our relationships, just as God and God's fullness as Trinity is the relationship of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And so this idea that the relationship then becomes the location, the relationship becomes the place where we share in each other's lives for the sake of sharing in each other's lives, because we confess that Jesus Christ is present in the mystery of encountering each other and being with each other. So it makes ministry then not about using relationships as a tool to achieve something, but ministry about creating relationships as encounter for the encounter of God to occur. That the relationship becomes a significant place to do that. And that does mean that we have to actually share in young people's lives and let them share in ours, which is a real, I think, significant piece for youth ministry, is we've often seen the youth worker's job is to share in young people's lives. But we've done them a disservice, because also really important is for them to share in our lives. And I think that's one place where the American, particularly the mainline congregation, has really fallen down, is that where it's been appropriate, we've supported youth ministry, but we haven't, the people who are willing to support the youth ministry haven't been as willing to open up their own lives and let young people share in their lives and share in young people's. They've said, let's pay the youth worker to do that. As opposed to seeing the paid youth pastor's job is to facilitate these encounters of sharing in and sharing in each other's lives. I think that becomes a much more significant way of understanding ministry and understanding relationship.